every 28, 30 days, the universe sort of invites us into a place where we should be asking ourselves, what is it we're manifesting? Because really, the releasing of the new moon or the full moon and the creating, the manifesting of the new moon, plus our energies, we're constantly manifesting, whether it's intentional or not. So the cycles of the moons gives us that opportunity to sort of look into ourselves and into our subconscious and catch ourselves with what is it we're actually creating because of the thoughts that we're putting out there. We're setting the seeds of intention with releasing with the full moon, consciously, subconsciously, whatever it is, regardless, we're still doing it. So the universe sort of with the full moon and releasing is the universe way of sort of making us slow down, taking sort of inventory and looking at what we're creating in our world to learn more about, you know, what path are we on? What course are we on? What direction is it we're taking? And is it one that works for us? I want to talk about what not to do during the start of a full moon. So one of the things is starting something new. So if you stop and think about the full moon representing death, that's not a time to start something new. So we always leave that for the new moon, so the manifestation. We don't want to, during a full moon, overreact to situations. We notice it because it affects us. It affects our vibration. If you find you're overreacting, perhaps just put that aside until we sort of come out. So it's sort of like the 2 days leading up to and the 2 days after. They say 48 hours. I always go 72 to play it safe. Then, you know, you're sort of working with a clear mind. The other thing, which is sort of, you know, falls into that overreacting, is don't make any big decisions, especially if the decision is at the starting of something new. We don't want to be doing that, or a new start, or a new house, a new car, a new child, perhaps a new husband, whatever it is. Perhaps wait until. So what you can do, and I'm going to go through a couple of things that you can use the full moon, and then we'll sort of go into the releasing aspect of it, because I know you've all heard it's a time to release, and that's generally what it's for, but it does do other things. So it's the full moon is an optimal time for you to cleanse your space. So when I say your space, it's your home, but it's also your body and your mind. So the full moon tends to, because we have that amplified anxiousness and those high, you know, very high tense feelings, we tend to have a bit of a buildup of energy. And sometimes that's good energy, and sometimes it's not so good energy. This is when we find people are a little out of sorts. So if you're holding a lot of lower vibrational energy, you are going to be a little bit out of sorts, a little on the crazy side, howling at the moon. So by cleansing your space, your body, you're removing and letting that old energy go. You can use sage is traditional. We've all seen the big sage sticks, but they are full of smoke and smell and stink your whole house up. Alternative to that, you can use cedar. So if you have a cedar tree on your property or outside, get to a cedar tree, just snip it and dry it, and you can burn the cedar. Just as effective as the sage and less intrusive, not as much smudge. You can even just put fresh cedar in a bowl in your home, especially in rooms that you spend a lot of time in, like a family room or your bedroom, and that helps alleviate. The other, if you're, is lavender. So you can use either oils or incense for sage, cedar, and lavender in a way of sort of smudging your home, and it's less invasive as those the traditional smudge sticks. So, and when you do it, it's sort of, you set that intention and perhaps have a mantra in mind. So something that I suggest is just like, let everything that doesn't belong to me go, and just let that clear out of the space as we cleanse. Our crystals absorb energy just like we do. So we have to clear our crystals, and the full moon is a great time for that. And just putting them in the moonlight and letting the light just sort of clear them. So just stick them on the windowsill, place them outside, someplace where that moonlight can cleanse them. And that helps clear any of that absorbed energy that those crystals have taken from you in an effort to support you. The other thing you can do is learn to meditate. Is a great time under the full moon because everything is so heightened. There's this massive amount of energy that you have access to for self-reflection. Plus, it's a great time for your intuition is heightened. So what better time to sort of start working on that meditation practice. Let's get to the real reason most people are interested in the full moon, and that's releasing baggage. So letting go, it's all about releasing and letting go of that energy. So it's also energy that we're holding onto. And it helps bring us in line with our higher self. So if we're holding on to an energy that belongs to other people or old situations or the history, we're certainly not in a place of being present. So why release? Why not release? Things happen, terrible things happen to us sometimes, negative things happen. And these experiences create lasting change for us and ourselves and for other people. So the full moon is a time of action and releasing. So taking purposeful action during the moon phase. So on a personal level, you focus on what it is you want to cultivate in your life, what you can benefit then by releasing that helps support the cultivation that you create during the new moon. So we have heard everything from emotional releasing to physical possession. So old clothes, cleaning out the closet is sort of as that metaphorical is what we're doing with the full moon. So we have to be cautious of what we choose to release, not only how it affects us, but also how it affects other people. So some of the things that you might want to release, for example, if there's the fear of change, or you have some shame or grief that you're trying to let go, which is, some of the lower vibrations. But there's also, releasing of a job. So if we want to change work or the ending of a relationship, but it always has to be done with the intention that it happens in a natural and a healthy way. So don't imagine how you want this to happen. It's just giving it to the moon, giving it to the universe that you no longer want this job, you no longer feel happy in this relationship, and that it must change in a natural and healthy way. And if we don't approach it from that way, we're really risking harming and affecting other people. So you don't want to get that new job or that job because someone else gets sick and has to quit, or something terrible happens to them and all of a sudden the job becomes open. Likewise with a relationship that you're in and you no longer want it to be the way it is. So you don't necessarily have to release the relationship, but you can release how the relationship makes you feel. You can release, something from your past that is hurtful to you. We can release emotion. So if we have a fear, and then being specific about that fear. And I always suggest go into that meditative state. And you all know with me, meditation does not have to be a big hoo-ha and, candles and music. And If you can, great. But if you can't, just take some time before setting the intention, you know, just to daydream out the window. It's such a nice time of year to just watch the birds and, you know, look at the garden that we haven't seen and things growing, and just that intention about what you no longer want, and just be really clear what that is. If it's a feeling, is it emotion? You know, it's not necessarily the person that's creating or what we think is creating that feeling, because it always comes back to self. So moving on, you know, sort of to the next step in that is, you know, how do we release? That's the big question. I'm going to give you 3 examples that are really simple ways of releasing things. So one of it is, you know, I call it sort of washing it away. So water is of nature. It's the vibration of peace. It's the vibration of happiness that we talk about. And that's the vibration we want to match. So allowing water to really wash it off. Do this in a bath with some Epsom salts or sea salts or some essential oils, the sage or Caesar lavender that I mentioned. And just imagine while you're in the bath or shower, just imagine all those emotions being washed away from you. If you know, dance in the rain is a great thing too. I love to stand outside in the rain. I love lakes, anything to do with water. And it doesn't, you know, doesn't always have to be during a full moon that you do this type of releasing with water. It's just that much, the intention is that much more during the full moon. So, of course, speaking of water, an oldie but a goodie is tears, and allow those tears to release. So very often when we're trying to release something, a little trick to sort of keep an eye on yourself is you should have tears, because you're releasing something that you've been holding on. It's something that's of no service to you anymore. So either the emotions that you're feeling bring tears because it's something you don't want anymore, or it's tears of joy because you're letting it go and releasing. So either way, a really good indication when it comes to letting things go and releasing is tears. This last one. So I always call this burn baby burn. And this is one that's really good in the sense that it's really, I always feel this one's really more intense because we're physically doing something, which again speaks to our ego. So just taking a piece of paper and writing down what no longer serves you. So what is it you're afraid of? What is it you're angry at? What frustrates you? What's holding you back? What you need to forgive? What you need to let go from the past? And I really want you to think about what it is going forward that you want to create on the new moon when you decide to release. So what is it that you want to bring into your life, and what's stopping you? So perhaps that is something to give some consideration to with releasing with the new moon. And then I want you to write that on a piece of paper. Write down what it is that's stopping you from creating. And then there's a statement to follow that, which is, and this is what I want you to write down. So this must change in a natural and healthy way. Once you have your statement established and written, And if you want to bring in a little added oomph to this from a feng shui perspective, you write it with red ink, which gives it energy, and you write it on yellow legal paper. So the yellow legal pad makes it a binding contract. The red pen gives it that root chakra, red earth energy. It gives it the power. So your statement, not only is it coming from inside with all the energy that you have, and it's being amplified by the full moon, you've just upped that ante a little bit with that yellow legal paper and red pen. So with that, you fold that piece of paper. Find, I'm going to call it a sacred space, someplace that you can do this privately, someplace you won't be interrupted, preferably outside under the light of the full moon. Again, where you won't be disturbed or distracted. And then I'd like you to smudge your aura, your energy. So just allowing that scent of the sage or the lavender or the cedar. If it's cedar, in your hands, the smell, and just clear your body. Light the candle and give thanks to the man of the moon who's about to help you. And have your candle and your bowl of water nearby. So you've written down now on the paper all that no longer serves you. You can write more than one thing. And write down all that you want to release. And I want you to really think again about attitudes, about emotions, about relationships. You can manifest and work with illnesses, habits, behaviors that you have, addictions. So really be open to identifying what it is of these things that has to change. And read your paper out loud, read it with conviction. Don't just recite it, read it with emotion. And read it out loud with intention. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, just imagine what you have chosen to release, just sort of floating away from you. And then take that paper and place it in the flame of the candle and watch it burn. I want you to drop it into the bowl of water. Now this is going to do two things. One, it's going to put out the fire. The other thing is you're going to leave this paper in the water, in the moonlight, outside, overnight. And your job from this point on is to not worry about it. And as you work through this and down the road, things still haven't quite come to a place that satisfies you. So we have to go back and look at what has happened, what has changed, which way am I being pushed or pulled? And perhaps we have to go back and look at ourselves and what it is that we're trying to release. And be clear on how and what it is that we're trying to release. And if we're looking at it accurately.